Everyone, it's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the Multidimensional MD. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, my mission is to bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can experience more peace, love, and joy in your everyday lives. Today, I'm going to talk about a really big topic that I haven't talked a lot directly about, and it concerns many people. I get a lot of questions about it. So I thought, today I was meditating earlier this week, and I thought, it's time that I talk about this. So I'm going to talk about a multi-dimensional approach to weight loss. It's going to be a big overview. We're going to talk about the physical aspects that have to deal with weight loss, the mental, emotional aspects, and then the spiritual aspects. So we'll go do a body, mind, spirit approach because we are human beings and we are always body, mind, and spirit. We cannot tease it apart. So as you listen along, see which messages seem to really call to you and see which layers also call to you. Maybe you've done things on one layer, haven't paid attention to another layer or details in another layer, and pick the layer of body, the physical, the mental, emotional, or spiritual. Pick the layer, the dimension that feels easiest for you to step into. So as we approach health, we want to step into the path of ease. So pick the steps that feel the easiest to you, because as you do so, then you'll take another little step and another little step. And every day you just take one small step in the direction of your intention, then you will arrive there. You will get there. So it is feeling it and believing that you can do it for yourself. So let's start with the physical aspects of weight loss. There is so much here. And so much of the time, people go straight to hormones. They want to ask me about hormones. Are there hormones off? And which hormones matter? The thing is that all your hormones matter because the body works together as a unit. It's not just the thyroid, it's not just the adrenals and your cortisol levels, it's not just the ovaries, not just the pituitary, it's everything. It all has to be coordinated. So I know at certain times we focus more on some things, cortisol or thyroid, or and now more recently, there's other hormones people talk about, leptin and ghrelin. And the thing is, the thing to remember is that all your hormones matter. And also they represent energetically this midline in your body, because most of your major endocrine organs are either in the center or paired symmetrically to the midline. It's not an absolute. There's a lot of hormone producing areas in the body, but we've got the gonads, the ovaries or testes, paired symmetric. And then you have your adrenals, paired symmetric. You've got your pancreas right in the center. Even your heart is a hormone right in the center. Thyroid's right in the center. Pituitary, pineal. So I'm just expanding that physical into an energetic as well. So all hormones matter. So let's go through a little bit more. Now, stress, of course, will affect your hormone levels. It's going to affect your nervous system, and then your nervous system is going to send signals to those endocrine glands as to what to produce. So one major stress hormone is cortisol, which will affect your insulin levels. It tends to have this inverse relationship. And so you can get these blood sugar fluctuations. And one will, like insulin, will want to hold on to things, and cortisol will want you to use up that energy. But when there's an imbalance, it can affect either way your weight. And so if you are under a lot of stress, it's going to affect you physically. We're going to talk more about the mental, emotional in a bit. Also, sleep, prioritizing rest. Sleep affects your insulin levels. Sleep affects your cortisol levels also. So it affects all your hormones, really. So if you aren't getting at least 8 hours of sleep a night, I know I'm a parent and working. It's really hard. Oh, good morning, Craig. I'm so glad you're here. It's really hard to get enough sleep sometimes. So But if the weight is an issue, we have to kind of look at the areas that we can tune up. So if you are really lacking in sleep, like I ask people how much sleep they get. Oh, I get plenty of sleep. I get 6 hours a night. That is not enough. So your body needs to be able to reset every night and needs to be able to repair so that it can balance those endocrine levels, those hormone levels. It can balance your nervous system. It's a nice time for detoxifying. It's a nice time for resetting. So if you have a hard time sleeping, that's a whole other huge topic. But one thing is to turn off screens, TV, computer, phone, devices. I know we want to check it last minute before we go to bed, but turn them off about 2 hours before bedtime so as not to overstimulate your pineal gland. And if you come in for an appointment, I can feel your pineal gland if it's been buzzing. And it can be buzzing from just looping thoughts and worry. It could be buzzing from too much screen time. Of course, next on the physical, exercise is going to be important. It also massages all your internal organs there in your abdomen. It will affect your mood and it will affect your hormone levels. So see where in your circle of life you could be tuning up things or tending to. What your symptoms tell you exactly where the healing is. So if you're tired, look and see, are you getting enough sleep? If you're feeling like sore, achy, or stiff, are you moving? If you are, if your weight is an issue, like start to look at these areas. Your symptoms tell you where the healing is. They are just loving messages from your body telling you, here, tend to me. I need you. I need all of you. I need your whole being to really feel good. So they are loving messages from your body. Then we get to food. There's a whole episode I did on the alkaline diet. That's episode 91 if you're interested. I also have a handout there. But food ratios and combinations are really important. So I know people a lot of times say, but I eat really healthy. They eat organic, they eat local, they make their foods at home. So I did want to mention food ratios and combinations. Ratios would be 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. So go look at episode 91 for more on that alkaline diet. But let me talk about the combinations because this is very important. It has to do with how you digest your food and if you're digesting it well. Hi, Nomad. It's so great to see you. Thanks for joining. So food combinations to avoid are 2 or more starchy foods in the same meal, such as potatoes, bread, pasta. And so how often do we have that in the same meal? Cereal or grains with citrus fruit or juice. So if you look at the pictures of like breakfast, it's often like milk and cereal and orange juice right next to each other. So that's not a great combination. Berries with your whole grains would be okay. Sugary, another food combination, sugary foods and starchy foods together. I mean, of course, that sounds like a great dessert, but not so great for your digestion and for your weight. And another one is large quantities of starchy foods with meat, poultry, fish, or cheese. So really what that's saying is greens combine fine with your source of protein, and then greens combine fine with a starchy food like grains or root veggies or something like that. But the grains and the like starchy foods, breads with meat or any other protein source, they don't tend to combine as well. Your body doesn't assimilate the nutrients as well. It has a harder time breaking down the food. When you have a hard time breaking down the food, it affects your gut, affects the flora, affects your insulin levels, and so forth. Just keeps running down like that. Another food combination to avoid is coffee or tea with milk and cream. So suggested to have it plain, more plain. Raw apples with so the fruits to eat alone would be raw apples, bananas, and melons. So those kinds of fruits do not combine well with any other food. So they are meant to be eaten more alone as a snack. What happens is if you combine them with other foods, they just sit there and your body has a harder time digesting. So any of these food combinations, your body has a harder time digesting, and the food tends to sit there longer, and then it ferments, changes the gut flora. You don't assimilate the nutrients as well, affects your blood sugars, and so on. So as you're eating, notice your or throughout the day, notice your appetite. You could even keep a little log on like getting to know myself. Don't think of it as like a food or diet log. Think of it as a getting to know yourself kind of journal. Note your appetite, different times. Your thinking and energy levels at different times. And can you notice any ups and downs? Is it like level, or you were feeling really flat all day, or are there like swings and ups and downs? And I'll feel this. I so many times I know the level of carbohydrates I can manage. And when I overdo it, the moment I do it, I tell myself, I'll be fine. I know since I'm doing it ahead of time, like I'm thinking about it, I'll be fine. It won't affect my mood. It won't affect my thinking. But you can ask my family, you can ask my really close friends, and a few hours later, I will be just not quite as balanced as I'd like to feel. Maybe a little grumpier, maybe like snapping at close friends, family is more. Don't do that so much in the office, thank goodness. But you know how it's different with loved ones. And so they're more understanding of you. And anyway, you get the point. So note your symptoms like that: appetite, thinking, energy levels, and the ups and downs in it. And then you can start to back up, like you can start to see how food is affecting you, and then you can adjust it. So it's not a bad thing. Like when I feel moody after eating certain things, I don't think of it as a bad thing. I think of it as a compass, like, oh, okay, next time I'm going to eat a different food combination. I'm going to eat a different ratio of foods. I'm going to eat more alkaline so I can feel more level. So then you can start to also identify what your food cravings mean. So there's that physical meaning. Like if you want a lot of sugar, then maybe you are getting these micro fluctuations in your blood sugar. Maybe your insulin is swinging. So looking at those food ratios, looking at the combination of foods. Or maybe you need to sweeten up your life. So we're going to talk more about that in mental emotional next. Maybe you're craving things like chocolate. So chocolate can give you a boost of energy. So maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need more minerals because it has a good source of magnesium. So where else would you get minerals? Oh, dark greens. So you see, when you start craving things, it's telling you exactly how to shift, what to tend to. It's not a bad thing. What about crunchy things? So crunchy things often like chips. Well, a couple things there. There's the fat component. So maybe you aren't getting enough healthy fats, or maybe you need something, just to like smooth out things in your nervous system. So think of like nerve nourishing foods. Or maybe it's a crunch. So if you have some tension in you, then that crunch can be like relieving some tension in your head and jaw. So maybe you need some stretching in your life or some more de-stressing, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So the food cravings also tell us something about the mental emotional aspects, because there can be some priming from your past. This tells you about your relationship to food. For example, you just need to keep asking why. So like somebody I knew, she really liked those cheese curls. She really liked them, really had a hard time like not eating them. So why is that? Well, why do you like them? What does it remind you of? Of course, like, oh, sure, I like the way they taste, whatever. I just need to have them. I was like, well, when else did you feel like that? When else did you have them in your life? And sometimes you can go back in childhood and think like, oh, I used to eat those when I was a kid, and when I was with, this parent or this loved one, or I was having a good time with my siblings or something like that. There'll be some moment that it just makes you feel good. So you see how you have that priming from your past, a feel good emotional thing, and it's been tied to the food, and that gives you the craving for it. So, but see, it tells you where the healing is too, because if that's the case, maybe there's connections there or to relationships that need some tending to for yourself. It doesn't mean like the other person needs to fix it for you. It's how can you look at it differently, or how can you heal it for yourself? Just consider, maybe it's just like talking to your little self and be like, you are still loved. You're loved then, you're still loved now. I love you. So just to give you ideas, we could talk about any one of these points in a lot of length, but I'm giving you a huge overview here. So weight gain can also be accompanied with feelings of anxiety and depression. So again, um, there's this nervous system component, and you can ask yourself, like, maybe some tension and trauma release or stress and trauma release work would be warranted here. There's many ways to do that. You could just start reflecting either every night or every morning. At night, it's sort of like nice to reflect from the day, helps you process, not to read again, but just to help you kind of empty things out from your mind. And as the process of doing it, putting it into the physical helps you process things. And then if you write in the morning, we call that like morning pages. It's from the Artist's Way. And so you can kind of set your tone for the day. And you can also be reflective and intentional about your day. So many different ways. If you can come see me, if you need some help with that stress and trauma release, you can come to one of our trauma release exercise classes. So everybody has stress in your lives. It's just imagining like that wave, right? Where are you on it? Are you allowing it to flow, or is it coming up? You're getting stuck right here at the peak of the wave and you're feeling that anxiety and stress. And that is telling you to go inward, to tend to yourself, to have some self-compassion for you. And there's ways to get you flowing through the wave. So if you're stuck here, it's okay. Your natural state is actually to flow, to come back down to a more feel-good state. So it's just learning how to flow again. So have compassion for yourself. Consider, how do you talk and think about your body? I remember after my first baby was born, I made a conscious decision never to say or look at my body in a way that was critical ever again. When I was like a teenager, I used to look at my face, and when I was like doing my hair and makeup, I would make these faces like, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that. And my friend would make fun of me. When my first daughter was born, I so was conscious of that. I was like, I'm never going to look at myself in the mirror like that ever again. Because if I don't look at myself in the mirror in a loving way, then she's going to think she shouldn't look at herself in the mirror in a loving way. So I shifted that very quickly, because I was so motivated to, and I wanted to do it for myself, but I wanted to do it for my family too. And, with the pregnancy stretch marks or any, marks from pregnancy, I never said anything negative about it. Even, and the kids would point out about, oh, mommy, your belly's so soft and squishy. And I would say, that's because I gave birth to 4 beautiful babies. And that's you. And I'm so happy that I was able to do that. So I look at it and gratitude of appreciation of how my body was able to change and shift in so many different ways through so many life changes. So start to look at things, see how you can shift your mindset for yourself and look at things in a way that's much more compassionate for yourself. And of course, like, think about, why are you bothered by your weight? A lot of times it's the way we look, but then keep asking why. Why does that bother you? Like, why? And it's like, oh, but I want other people to think I look good too. And why do we want other people to think, why do we even care about what other people think? I did an episode on that, episode 89, if you're interested. It was just really great to talk about. And it has to do with just this core primal belonging and being part of a tribe. So it touches on this primal fear of being left out. And it can bring on, when you're left out from the tribe, it can bring on these feelings of fear of death. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's just, if you keep asking why, you don't want to feel left out from the tribe. And that comparison, there's that saying, comparison is a thief of joy. So the ego mind is meant to compare, and we can use it to learn things like rhythms, words, movements. But when you use it to judge yourself, then it's more destructive than creative. So work with that ego mind, understand that that's its purpose, and it will be doing that. You can't stop your ego mind from comparing. So all you can do is understand it and then choose what you consciously believe for yourself. So there's so much here, and also along the lines of this mental emotional component is a concept of mindfulness. So whatever you're doing, to do that with presence, whether you're eating, whether you're exercising or going for a walk, and all the activities you're doing when you're talking to people, so that you will be more mindful of the signals and messages from your body telling you where the healing is. And then you can follow those and it becomes much easier. And don't worry if you missed it before, because every moment of our lives, we have this compass with us, and it's coming from every single layer, from your body, from your mind, from your spirit. So all you have to do is to choose to listen to at least one of those layers and see if you can shift things ever so slightly. And if every day you just take a step towards what you would like to feel and be, then it will continue to shift for it. It's just dropping those if-thens. If I lost weight, then. So we put so much on not like so much pressure on not having, like we are in such lack. We don't have what we have. We want to look different. If we looked different, then we would feel better. So that puts so much on an external appearance of things versus like this internal feel good. And so it's not as sustainable to do it like that. And that's why you'll see people with the like gaining weight and then losing weight. You might go through yo-yos like that. But consider also, what does this weight mean for you? So what is your relationship to food, that priming? What is your relationship to the way you look? And what is it about the weight that you're holding on to? Because weight is meant as a protective layer. So it could go either way, because I see people with both issues of like they want to lose weight and other people want to gain weight. So when you want to lose weight, you have this layer of protection around you. So what in your life do you feel like you still need protection from? Or on the other side of the spectrum, where people are wanting to gain weight, it's sometimes a hiding. So it's instead of hiding in a different way, because they're like shrinking back. And so what is it they feel like they are hiding from? So this protection, just consider through all the layers, consider it at every age too. So if you kind of scan through your life, are there things that you still get a visceral reaction to? Sometimes the mind cognitively can say, oh yeah, I'm over that. That doesn't matter to me anymore. But you get this visceral reaction of like your gut kind of like tenses, or something in you tenses, or you kind of grimace still. So you know that there's a layer in you that's not over it, and you want to be able to honor and tend to that, and just be gentle and patient with that aspect of yourself. So there could be an aspect of yourself that's over it, and there could be an aspect of yourself that isn't. And that's fine, because we are both we are human being. So we have this ego mind, but we are this infinite spirit too. So our infinite spirit knows that we're completely light and loving no matter what. But I'll meet people even in really open-minded and expanded groups, and they will say like, oh, I wish I could lose weight. Oh, but I love the way I look. I love my body. So there's that paradoxical thinking, which is completely okay, because we can have different parts of ourselves feeling like that. So it's just to like tend to each of them. It's okay. So when there's the part that knows your higher being self, that's light and love, and there's that part of you like is judging still. So go through these different aspects and different concepts I've mentioned already, from the physical to the mental, emotional, and see which ones might call to you and apply to you, and take a step in that direction. So that leads us to body, mind, spirit. So where in your life can you incorporate, like, can you tend to your spirit? Are you meditating, or are you setting intentions? Are you getting to know yourself in that like that spiritual dimension where you are light and love? And if that's difficult and you're like, I don't know, I know I'm supposed to feel that, but I don't know how to love myself, I don't know how to see that, then just be gentle and take steps. Maybe you can take steps in the other areas as well, and that's okay. So give gratitude to your body, like write a love letter to your body, explaining everything, the scars, what you think is beautiful, what you're thankful for. So express gratitude every single day to your body without any of the buts. I mean, I hear this a lot too. It's like, yeah, I'm thankful for my body, but I really wish I could, you know. And so can you say the thanks and gratitude without the buts? And can you focus more on your deeper purpose, your deep why? Because a lot of times, like focusing on the external appearance of weight is such a distraction to what is more meaningful in our lives. And I think about this like after my dad had crossed over and what probably mattered to him when he was crossing over. Like many people, he was also concerned about his weight in various ways, but and through the pandemic, and he was experimenting with this diet and that diet. But the moment he crossed over, I really don't think that's what mattered to him. It was his connection. It was how he had helped people. It was his family and relationships. It was how he lived his life and not what he looked like. So when knowing what your deep why is can really help to fuel your body. And when you fuel your body energetically, spiritually, this will send messages to your nervous system, to your endocrine system. Remember, we talked about that hormones the very first in the beginning of this talk. So addressing your spiritual self, your deep why, and your purpose will help your internal pharmacy of your hormones, your neurotransmitters, your nervous system, everything. It will shift things in the physical, but it has to be, prioritized in the way you understand what your deep purpose is, and it's not in the way like it's my deep purpose is losing weight. It's not really that. So consider that. And your deep purpose doesn't have to be anything mind blowing. It doesn't have to be completely changing the world or leaving your like legacy. It's not about that. Your deep purpose can simply be being an expression of love in this world. That's it. That's all it has to be. And then you can tune it every day to whatever you'd like. And this is something I've talked about before. And it's like knowing your intention. It's knowing your why. So every day, I would say this all the time, that every day I align my purpose with the divine. I align my will with the divine. But then I can tweak it too. I make it more specific. So this year, I've said this before, my mantra is persistence with patience. And then I could tweak that even further of like, and today that means I'm going to get more rest because my body is asking for it. Sometimes after trips, I feel more swollen and bloated, and I know my body needs to just reset and rest, and drinking lots of water and tuning up the diet and stretching helps that. And so but you see how you have so many layers to that, and the deep purpose sort of always begins with love somehow. And then you can break it down into smaller steps and details and have that as your compass for the day. And I know I can hear the protests and the yes buts, and I argue with the stillness plenty, but however you've been approaching your weight, if it isn't working for you, then consider another approach that is more loving and compassionate, and that integrates the multidimensional aspects of your being. So I hope that this helped you in some way. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to get back to you. And if you need further help, then I'm here for you in so many different ways. You can connect with me on Instagram at All Worlds Health. You can connect with me on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics. You can sign up for my e-love letters. I send them out once a week on Wednesdays. And that's on my website, All Worlds Health. allworldshealth.com, all worlds with an S, allworldshealth.com. And lots of love to you. I believe in you, so I hope that you believe in you too. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and I'll see you next Wednesday, 11 a.m. for another episode of the Multidimensional MD. Take care. Bye.